Marriage is not a promise of happiness. It is a trial of endurance. Two people step into it with dreams in their eyes, only to discover that love must fight to survive pride, silence, and the weight of unspoken truths. It's not love that defines a marriage, but what remains when love is wounded. Marriage is not merely the joining of two lives, but the quiet weaving together of two souls, thread by thread, moment by moment. It's a bond tested not in joy alone, but in silence, in hardship, in the unseen sacrifices that shape love into something enduring. What begins as hope must learn to survive reality. Marriage stands somewhere between dream and reality. It begins with hope, but it's sustained by effort, compromise, and resilience. It reveals not only love, but also the hidden sides of the human nature, strengths, weakness, and everything in between. The duty of the person beside you is clear: to stand by you not only in happiness, but in fear, confusion, and pain, not to disappear when life grows difficult, to treat you with dignity, even in anger, without humiliation, without belittling, without breaking your self-worth, to make you feel safe, physically and emotionally, not to dominate, but to be someone you can truly rely on, to remain faithful, not only in actions, but in intentions, never betraying your trust, even when no one is watching, to try to understand you, especially when others misunderstand you, to be patient with your flaws as you are with theirs, to carry life together, problems, decisions, burdens. Marriage is not one person enduring while the other ignores. Lobar had believed in these truths too. She had believed that someone would stand beside her, that love and loyalty could form a shield in a foreign land where everything felt strange, uncertain, and cold. But reality often teaches harsher lessons than hope ever promises. For Lobar, marriage had once meant shelter, a quiet promise that she would be shielded from the harshness of a world far from home, far from certainty. That promise shattered when her husband chose betrayal over loyalty. In one reckless act, he reduced her not to a partner, not even to a human being, but to something that could be wagered and lost. He staked her in a game as if her life were nothing more than a coin on a table. When fortune turned against him, he did not fight, he did not protect, he did not hesitate. He simply handed her over to the wrong hands. In that moment, Lobar understood a truth more bitter than any hardship. The person who was meant to protect her had become the one who destroyed her. The warmth, the hope, the quiet comfort of marriage, all of it was gone, leaving only the cold, aching weight of betrayal. 1. The woman staked in a gamble. It wasn't long before Marv walked away from construction work. In the evenings, he and Malika would go out together, only returning home close to dawn. Suddenly it seemed they had found a good job. A month later, they truly brought home $500, and it turned into a celebration. "I always knew our efforts would succeed," Lobar said, her joy overflowing, her face blooming with happiness. Now, in her eyes, Marv no longer appeared as the careless, drink-loving, cold man he once seemed. He was slowly becoming the real husband she had always dreamed of. They even bought a proper set of clothes. A pot of meat began to simmer on the stove. Some days Marv and Malika would sit together in the kitchen, sipping small amounts of vodka, and without a trace of fatigue, talk eagerly about returning to their hometown wealthy and prosperous, and putting their business affairs in order. Lobar, too, began seeking better work opportunities. Even the endless complaints of Ira had begun to weigh on her more than cleaning the latrines ever could. One day, Lobar was described in such flattering terms to one of the salesmen that his heart softened. He handed the old woman $10 and arranged for them to meet that evening. As the workday ended, Lobar was about to leave when Ira came slinking in, twisting and shifting as she approached. "You're such a good woman, a really good woman," she flattered her words smooth and deliberate. "Beautiful and quite young, too. What do you want from me? Go back to your home. Get out of here. I swear I'll bring this stick down on you. You'll be dead before you hit the ground. The police won't even be able to trace me from Russia. Oh God, when will I find another job and be rid of that wretched woman?" From behind came a man's voice. "Aunt Ira, what kind of monologue is this lady giving?" The old woman's eyes lit up with happiness as if she had just discovered a treasure. She pulled $10 from her pocket and flaunted it at Lobar, pride shining in her smile. "See that? Did you see? Go with him. He won't spare anything on you. He'll even take you to your apartment." Lobar pushed the old woman aside as she stood in her way, and the woman's head struck the wall. The man did not flinch. He grabbed Lobar firmly and pulled her close. "Show me your strength, my sweetheart." Lobar struggled and twisted, but there was no escaping his powerful grasp. Strange as it felt, she hesitated to scream. The police, if they came, would only turn it into paperwork and interrogations. Last month, on the day Tanya was killed, she had been forced to participate in the investigation and barely escaped. Now she had to do something, anything, to free herself from this relentless, pestering man. Another suspicious figure turned toward the latrine. Lobar, already certain that there was no way to call for help, braced herself, but then the man gave a firm command. "Let her go, you runt! What's your business here?" For a single moment, Lobar caught sight of the noble-looking man. His gaze was ice cold, yet there was an unmistakable intelligence in it, the weight of someone accustomed to thought and calculation. Before she could process it, the flimsy, lecherous salesman collapsed into the asphalt. Ira froze as if she had run into death itself. "You wretched old woman!" the nobleman spat. "I should have shot you long ago. Look at this. The punishment you deserve has caught up with the rat living in your latrine." I beg you, Shamil. I beg you, forgive an old woman like me. I've been sinful all my life before Anna. Ira whimpered through her tears. I loathe you so much, he said, that I don't even want to step into your latrine. I'm sinful. Meanwhile, the lecherous salesman bolted from the scene, clutching his aching side in pain. Shamil didn't even glance at Lobar as he let his long coat flutter behind him and walked away. At the corner of the market street, a Mercedes waited for him, its red tail lights gleaming in the fading light. Watching the car with her eyes, Lobar realized with a start that she had survived the scuffle purely by chance. Go, make peace with your filthy latrine, Lobar spat at the old woman, taking 2 steps closer. Curse you, faceless one. I would rather starve than work with that old woman, she thought bitterly as she trudged back to her rented room, her heart sinking into a deep, unspoken sorrow. Her mind was a storm of worries. Lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling, she thought of Zilola. She lay there, wondering whether to call Samarkand and ask for her friend's exact address in Moscow. Was it even possible to stumble across her in such a vast city? She had heard that her friend was working in a supermarket, but which one was she supposed to ask about? Since arriving, she had managed to call home in Samarkand only twice. She had no way of reaching her friend directly. The phones at home hardly ever seemed to work, as though Maruf's father were deliberately making their lives difficult out of spite. After all, the spoiled child had never lived far from his father's shadow. Perhaps they couldn't even afford the money for the calls. As always, around 10 in the evening, Zuhra arrived. Seeing Lobar's sour mood, she asked about her condition. I have quit my job, Lobar said. Zuhra swallowed hard, turning her eyes aside, sunken from malnutrition. They seemed almost too fragile to meet Lobar's gaze. Lobar, she said softly, her voice tinged with sorrow. I've been keeping a secret from you. This is even more important than your work. My God, what now? My husband has become a card player. Every night he goes to the gambling houses. Sometimes he plays with his own money. Sometimes he takes the sides of some wealthy player. And for the past months, your husband has joined him. Lobar felt ice flow through her veins from head to toe. She could not believe that her Maruf, could have become that kind of man. Zuhra continued. If they lose a big sum, we are collateral. Before you arrived, my husband lost $3,000. The money at home wasn't enough. Then he put me as collateral and went to borrow from acquaintances. We managed to get free from the debts. And we even saved $3,000 to send to Dushanbe. Yet I'm still afraid. Gambling is such a curse, it could swallow everything I have, my children, my home, even myself, in a single night, as mercilessly as quicksand. And Maruf, you know him. He's only just arrived. I'm afraid he might lose a lot of money. Lobar drew a heavy breath and gently took hold of Zuhra's shoulder, bringing her closer. Why didn't you tell me this from the start, Zuhra? She asked. What wrong have I ever done to you? I simply cannot reveal my husband's gambling to anyone I meet, Zuhra replied. Please understand, Lobar, and you should be grateful I warned you now. If my husband were to hear that I've told you, I shudder to think what would happen. I spoke because I could no longer bear the weight on my conscience. It has been tormenting me for days. Please don't take offense. And you know yourself, you are young. I'm amazed that you carry on as usual without noticing anything in your husband's demeanor. Lobar clutched her hair and, overwhelmed, slumped into the chair in the corner. She lost all sense of time. It wasn't until the homeowner told her to turn off the light that she came back to herself. Dawn was breaking, and still no word from Maruf. Her heart ached as if something had tightened around it. Unable to endure any longer, she knocked at Akmal's door. Zuhra appeared in her undergarments. Lobar, is everything all right? She asked, worried. My husband still isn't here. Has he not come? Zuhra whispered. And Akmal, what about him? Is he home? Lobar's eyes widened in alarm. The moment Zuhra said yes, Lobar turned her face away. She froze like a statue, then slowly swayed before saying with firm resolve, Call Akmal here right now. Just as Zuhra was about to wake her husband, someone rattled the outside door. To Lobar, it felt as if an eternity had passed before the door opened. It was Maruf. He was barely standing on his feet, his face as pale as death. Leaning against the door frame, he stared at Lobar, his gaze vacant and meaningless. At that same moment, Akmal stepped out of his room. Maruf lunged forward, his fist flying, and struck him squarely in the face. The two men collapsed to the floor, trading blows, their fists pounding mercilessly. The women tried to pull them apart, but it was hopeless. I'll kill you, Maruf bellowed. Where did you take me, you filthy? What happens now? Answer me, what happens? Take your hand away, let go, Akmal shouted. You agreed yourself, right here in front of your wife. Tell her I didn't force you. How much money do you have? Maruf sneered. Let go of my collar, I don't have any money, Akmal shot back. At that moment, loud knocks rang out at the door. Everyone turned around in alarm. 3 tough men, their freshly shaved faces shadowed with dark stubble, stepped in, their eyes cold and merciless. Their powerful gazes revealed not an ounce of mercy. Caucasians, all 3 holding their chins high. The homeowner rose from her bed, asked, What's happening here? One of the men said, Mamulia, calm yourself, and roughly pushed her back onto the mattress. By the way, what's going on here? Demanded the man in the middle. Akmal stammered. We were just resting with my wife. With that, he nudged Zuhra into their room, and the 2 of them quickly disappeared inside. Maruf was left standing there, meek and withdrawn, like a scared, cornered puppy. Who are these men? Lobar almost screamed. Speak! Why are you silent? Forgive me, Lobar, Maruf muttered, staring at the floor. There's nothing I can do. You go with them. The faces of the Caucasians were fully revealed now. So this is the woman you lost in the game for us? Not bad at all. After exchanging a glance, One of them took hold of Lobar and led her away. Her heart sank. Lobar struck out with her fist, but it barely touched the burly man's hand. Maruf stood there, mute and lifeless, utterly powerless. He could only watch helplessly as his wife trembled, cried, and screamed in terror. As they descended the stairs, Lobar's voice was silenced. The gamblers stuffed her close into her mouth and moved so swiftly that before she could even blink, she found herself in a car, being driven down a wide street. Every sob and cry she tried to make seemed to anger the man, who held Lobar tightly in his arms and slapped her twice for good measure. Then he removed the gag and barked. "Sit quietly like a good woman, or I'll tear you apart. We were not even watching you. It was your husband himself who staked you on the game. We don't deal with excuses. Lose, you pay. Otherwise, say goodbye to your sweet little life." "Don't worry," said the man in the front seat. "We're not going to kill you. You know what men want. Think about that and be happy. No more living in ruins. Luxury palaces, magnificent pools, soft beds. Your new life awaits. You know, nowadays, most women spend their lives yearning, dreaming of the day their husband will truly hold them, cherish them, and wrap them in love. You won't have that problem from now on. Better yet, you won't even have time to think about it." The driver jabbed at her with a cutting remark, smirking. They all burst into laughter, harsh and mocking, and Lobar felt herself losing all control. The young man beside her pulled a pistol from his coat and said, "Try to play any role, and I'll put a bullet in you." She couldn't make sense of where they had come from and which roads had brought her here. To Lobar, it was as if everything had ended.